This week, 7 teams will have a quarterback carousel. We talked about it earlier in the week. We did not call you on it because one of the carousels involved Washington Commanders, and we would never do that to you with your son Scott being the offensive coordinator. But it's pretty clear that Wentz wasn't going to play, and now it's going to be Taylor Heineke, et cetera. So that's one of them. But Dak Prescott, we talked earlier, it's not just about being able to spin the ball and play and throw accurately. You have to be able to follow through and not risk refracture because they can't afford to lose him for another 6 weeks. But it's also about ball security, like when you get sacked, stripping the ball and whatever. So all that, and 6 weeks is what we said, he's going to return. We know Dak's going to be fine and play. But what about other quarterbacks? For example, Tua coming back from his concussion, just 1 week of practice. He cleared for the game. They didn't play him. Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi. He's not 100%. How's that decision going to work? Or even in a Thursday night game, Dalton, Winston, whichever one's healthy. We think it's going to be Dalton will start. But even in Carolina, Baker Mayfield finished the game with a high ankle sprain. Played 2.5 quarters. And then the next week, it was P.J. Walker, and obviously they fired their coach, and it was a lot of turmoil. This week, who's the quarterback? They could go back to Baker Mayfield. P.J. Walker didn't do much of anything.
They named P.J. the starter for this.
Oh, they did already. Okay. Well, that's my other question. Sam Darnold just got activated off of injured reserve to this practice window. Is it even conceivable that you can get? How long does it take to get a quarterback ready after you come back?
When it's a guy who's, let's talk about the guy who's a long-term starter like Dak. It's not a big change, and sometimes those guys come in and have really big games because they're fresh. They've been seeing it from the sideline. They're anxious to go play. Depending on where your team is, the matchup. I know Dallas is another team that's struggled with some O-line problems. My feeling is sometimes these guys, and we went through it with Kyle Allen my last year when Cam got hurt my last year in Carolina. Some of these guys come in and they play pretty good for 3 or 4 weeks. I think Dallas is a good example. But defenses start getting a feel for them and understand them, and all of a sudden they can't do what they do best. They have to be able to play a complete game. And we were 5-1 with Kyle, and then it just he struggled from that point on, and people pressured him a little bit more, changed up coverages a little better, and I think you see that. So everyone gets excited when a guy comes in and has the 2 or 3 games. I know after in Dallas, they were saying, well, can this guy beat out Dak? Or should they go back? Well, 4 weeks later, 4th week into it, you're saying, well, he's done a great job keeping us in this thing, but it's time. We need to make that move. So I never get that. I learned from Ernie Zampese. I never get that excited when a young guy goes in and has 2 or 3 games because it's a long process. New England has an interesting deal because I like with the funny name Zappi. Zappi. I like him, and he's given him a spark. So now you're kind of.
Maybe wait, Mac, until you're 100%.
Yeah.
Normally, if Zappi's not doing well, 80%, let's go.
Yeah.
Now let's wait till you're 100.
He's 85 to 90 right now.
Yeah, well, in his eyes, right? That's the translation. Coach, I'm good enough to play. I'm lobbying to play. But if you sit me, I save face. I'm not 100%, right? I mean, but if a player says he's 85 to 90, he's about 70.
Well, and
right?
we all know now, we all have good memories. And Bledsoe sprained his ankle, and young Brady went in there, and all of a sudden he continued to play and play and play for like 22 years. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Coach Belichick does.
2 things. I think he's going to go with Zappi at least 1 more week. And
I'm with you.
Right? I mean, let's look at Tyrod Taylor with the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert comes in, surprised with the ribs, and the head coach at the time, Anthony Lynn, says, nope, Tyrod Taylor's the starter. Tyrod Taylor's the starter. As soon as he's healthy, he's the starter. That's my guy. 2 weeks into it, Herbert's playing pretty good. Tyrod, take your time. We don't want you to get hurt again.
Yeah.
4+ weeks into it, 4 good games, 5 good games, you don't have your job anymore, right?
No.
I mean, that's just the way it works.
And that's football,
That's football. And part of it, too, is what I think for quarterbacks, a simple analogy is it's baseball season, right? So it's Padres, and we're all caught up in the National League Championship Series. But how many times in baseball, guys, do you see that AA or AAA pitcher come up and he looks great until the third time the batter sees him,
Yeah.
right, in the 5th inning? Or even if he has 1 or 2 good starts, by the 3rd and 4th start, they've got film on you in the book and what you throw, and now they're ready for you. No more surprises,
Well, it's
right?
it's very
That's
similar.
part of it.
It's very similar to what we're talking about at
But
the
the other
quarterback
thing,
position.
there's one other thing that I think is a big deal for me as a doctor. There's a physical side and there's a mental side. I think there's a tremendous amount of mental fatigue when you're the starting quarterback, and especially when you're the new starting quarterback. Because sure, you're studying, you're keeping up, but you're one play away. Everyone knows that, but it's almost a relaxed nature. Like you're studying for the practice test, but now you're studying for the real test, and you study like crazy the first week, and you're successful, and you take half a breath, and you got to do it again, and you have to do it again. And different guys, you might do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, you might do it for 4 weeks, but by that 5th week, you're exhausted, mentally exhausted, right? I mean,
it mounts up on you, and there's no question. And that's why I was talking like with a guy like Kyle Allen, and not only that, people always say when they, I laugh, let Russ cook. We've heard that forever. And so when you're coaching good, you're doing what guys do best, and you keep giving them the opportunity to do those things. Well, if you're not a complete player, the defense figures out what you're doing best. Now you got to find some other things to do, and sometimes you're not very good at them, or the quarterback isn't very good at them, or it's not something you're comfortable him running. So people always say, "Well, open it up. We got to open up." Yeah, open it up, and the guy throws 4 interceptions, and you have no chance. So
right.
Coaches have to find a way to manage that part of it and play special teams and play defense and find a way to give the quarterback the best opportunity to be successful.